Willkommen zu einer weiteren Folge Vampyr auf meinem Kanal. In der letzten Folge hat man unseren Schöpfer gesehen und dieser hat uns leider nur eine Antwort gewährt. Und nun geht's zu Dr. Edward Swansea, um vielleicht mehr herauszufinden. Ich bin gespannt. Oh, da kann ich wieder looten. Perfekt. Codein, okay. Dr. Edgar Swansea, kann ich hier auch rein?
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Was ist das für ein Rambo, Alter? Den mache ich
By the
kalt.
sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
Scheiße, ich hab nichts mehr zum Aussaugen.
Are you worried about the situation or your reputation? Now is not the time to think of oneself.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Jonathan, please. I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Deswegen war der Sean Hampton auf Stufe 6, weil das ein Vampir war.
Well, they are not far wrong. The hospital is almost crawling with vampires.
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this. If you don't mind, I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Okay, Lady Ashbury, muss ich da nochmal hin?
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton who killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the guard of Prewin come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Wer war dieser
Who was
Mann?
that man in your office?
Rambo.
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewin. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you,
Okay.
Edgar.
Schauen wir uns mal das an. Das war, glaube ich, die alte, die ich nicht aussaugen konnte. Die auch gar nicht
Sean
mit mir
Hampton
gesprochen
lives
hat.
and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Die war hier drüben, genau, oder? War das hier? Nee. Aber hier war doch Loot, oder? Irgendwas hat hier geglänzt gerade. War die hier drin?
Feel my blood boil with the fever.
Good evening. Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I'll leave you.
I wish I could be sick again. Blood boil with the fever.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you...
Right. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Goodbye.
Ich habe hier 2 Leute getötet und da hat sich keiner drum geschert. Und jetzt ist mal eine Frau gestorben. Jetzt machen sie hier so einen riesen Tumult. Hier war die Frau drinne. Nein. Wo war denn die Frau drinne? Hier.
What on earth happened here?
Das sollte gewesen sein hier.
Good evening.
Doctor...
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We've failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was the Christian thing to do. But we should have noticed his instability.
Goodbye.
Sagt die Wache.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Die Alte.
Oh, Jonathan. I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scowl.
Would you care to partake in this meal with me?
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent. For there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain, and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
So, was haben wir hier noch? Heilige Symbole bereiten.
I have experienced a
Schwierigkeiten.
certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Have you embraced this woman? Like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
Okay, mehr gibt's hier
Thank you,
nicht,
my
glaube
lady.
ich. Gut. Da kann ich nichts weiter untersuchen. Die ist aber auch tot hier. Die ist auch tot. Mit dem hier? Hat sie wahrscheinlich unbemerkt weggeschafft hier. Zufällig nochmal eine neue Nebenmission aufgeploppt. Die kann man auch nicht machen, glaube ich. Die geht auf jeden Fall nicht Stufe 3 benötigt. Da sind wir noch nicht. Ah, hier, zu den Docks muss ich wieder hin. Okay, cool. Gut, dann gehen wir los. Zu den Docks.
It's an each! Kill it!
Schwein. Ja, die werden stärker. Naja, aber aushalten tun sie nichts. Ist auch noch was? Glaube ich hier richtig? Nee. Verzeihung, ich muss hier mal durch. Ist noch einer? Für was brauche ich denn diese Nägel? Bin ich hier richtig? Ja.
Steady, boys!
Du Schwein! Komm, schieß! Aha. Schütze, okay. So, hier drüber, oder? Yes. Dann sind wir bei den Docks.
See them fancy clothes? This one's a top!
Du mit deinem Pfahltreiber hier. Was liegt hier? Ah, cool.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Mhm. Stufe 4.
Good.
Stufe 4, was ist mit dir?
Good evening.
Hello again.
Can I...
As long as you have money.
Einfach mal gönnen. Ach so, hier.
But
Hello.
now everything...
Good evening.
Hello again.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say.
Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Goodbye, Miss Cobb.
Okay. Was ist mit dem passiert?
Mark my words, miss. These murders are the work of a vampire.
A vampire? Whatever
Wer
do
ist
you
das?
mean?
Not a drop of blood left in his body. This is the work of a vampire.
A vampire hunter.
You best be off to your hunting then. For if the sewer dog is back, and hunting all these poor folk, he needs a catching.
A sewer dog? What's it look like?
It's an old story. A monster with daggers for teeth and icy claws. He comes of a sudden, nighttime, claiming innocence, then vanishes.
Teeth? Your sewer dog is my business. He's the kind of prey I hunt, milady.
Wer
Good
bist
evening,
du?
sir. Have you witnessed any suspicious activity or strange events recently?
And what do you define as a strange event? More to the point, who are you?
My name is Ichabod Throgmorton, vampire hunter extraordinaire and warden of the East End.
A vampire hunter? Really?
I know what you're thinking. I'm just another lunatic howling at the moon, but I'm not. The bloodsuckers exist, and they're close.
Mr. Throgmorton, I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'd like to hear more about these vampires you're hunting.
A man of science? Well, I'll be glad to enlighten you.
Schon wieder Stufe 4, Alter.
What can you tell me about this neighborhood?
Did you hear about what happened to Jack Gillingham? Oh boy. It's a shame I wasn't around to protect him.
It's impossible to protect everyone. The violence seems endemic in this part of town.
But it's my duty. I am convinced Jack Gillingham was killed by a vampire. These evil rodents are spreading like a plague.
Okay. Ein Hinweis.
So, how exactly are you protecting these people? I'm curious.
I patrol late at night, investigating anything unusual. I try and encourage people to stay indoors, but people are careless.
Can I help in any way?
Actually, yes. I plan to put up posters to alert the population to the vampire threat.
Are you asking me to paste posters about vampires around the docks?
If you wouldn't mind. If you did that, then I can focus on my patrols.
How do you identify a vampire?
It's simple, really. They can't stand daylight. They're afraid of garlic and holy symbols. They also cannot enter a house without being invited.
Have you ever killed one of these creatures? Yourself, I mean.
Of course I have. What kind of question is that? It's a dirty business, believe me.
Have you heard of the Guard of Priwen?
Of course. They're dedicated hunters. A little militant for my taste, but they do let anyone join.
So you hunt alone? That sounds risky.
Vampires are just like every other predator. They hunt when they're hungry and follow certain patterns. It's just a matter of observation and patience.
Were you ever tempted to join the Guard yourself?
I did think about it, but I'm more of a silent hunter. They're more of a sanitary militia.
Nur ein Hinweis.
I'm looking for Sean Hampton. Can you help me, Mr. Throgmorton?
The sad saint? He should be at his night asylum at this hour. But I cannot tell you how to find him, sorry.
Really? Why is that?
It's nothing personal, Doctor. I'm sure your intentions are good, but people who sleep there, they have plenty of reasons to hide.
I could make you tell me, but I respect your refusal. You really believe Sean is a saint, don't you?
All I will say is this. Gossip has it that when he was a child, he was molested. By a priest of all people. Funny thing is, though, it only strengthened his faith.
Maybe at least you can tell me who could help me find him.
Tell you what, go and chat with Tom Watts. He's a bartender and good judge of character. If he talks to you, then it's fine by me.
Okay, das war's.
Goodbye.
Gut, plus 80 Punkte. Tom Watts. Gut. Die hier werde ich dann in der nächsten Folge befragen. An dieser Stelle ist erstmal Schluss. Genau. 12.000 Punkte haben wir, aber ich sammle nochmal, bis wir bis zum dritten Akt kommen. Gut, kann ich auch mal reden. Bis wir zum dritten Akt kommen, beziehungsweise bis ich hier die Stufe 3 erreiche, damit ich genügend Leute aussaugen kann und ich die dann in einer Tour alle wegschnitzeln kann. Und danach wird aufgelevelt. Und da bin ich gespannt, wie viele Punkte ich bekomme dafür. Also ich bedanke mich auf jeden Fall erstmal fürs Zusehen. Wenn euch die Folge gefallen hat, lasst bitte einen Daumen nach oben da. Wenn nicht, gern einen Daumen nach unten. Vielen Dank und bis zum nächsten Mal, euer Prinz. Tschüss.